Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth Inkandu. I am one of the Futuremakers Participant Forum. I have done ICT training under VSO with VSO under the I project. And right now, currently, I'm doing my attachments, which will last for 3 months. Yeah, and I'm in Zambia district. Zambia is a rural district which is still developing. And it being a developing district, we are experiencing a lot of problems. Well, the first problem you are tackling here is that we have few people who offer computer services. And that leads to people walking long distances just for them to come and access computer services. And it's something that is not pleasing. And for that, I hope and I think I'll open up after I'm done with my attachments, and probably if I have income, I would open up or set up an internet cafe or computer services that I'll offer to my community and the youths as well. And again, apart from that, we are also experiencing network problem. As you know, it was a problem just for me to connect to this meeting. Yeah. So again, I'm thinking of probably come up with something like electronic or network providers, which I believe are much faster than using a phone or a computer. Yeah, so I'll bring to that. Then my big vision, of course, is that since I've gotten the ICT training under VSO, to give them my gratitude or to thank them, I would also offer trainings to other youths and employment as well. I'll employ youths and also offer them trainings so that they also get the training that I got under VSO. Yes, and I'll I'll be very, very thankful to see that all this is achieved. If thank God enough at the income, I would be very grateful if I achieve all these.
Hi everyone, my name is Alwina Muhammad Amin. I'm coming from Malaysia and I am 31 years old this year. So basically my background is solid on accounting. I'm working as an accounting. I am a student of accounting. I grade in accounting. So I've been working for 6 years experience as an accountant and in a few different industry before. So I'm like living my normal life, which is 9 to 5, and I have no worries about nothing. I have no concern at all because this is my comfort zone. I get my salary, I go back, and then that's it, done of the day. End of the month, I get the salary. So I'm safe. Okay, but after pandemic hit us, I started to open up my mind because honestly, me myself was affected and I lost my job. And then that is really an eye opening for me. So this is where I get to know Mereka. So this is where I've learned about digital platform, digital marketing, X digital entrepreneurship, like X Futuremaker. So this is where I've learned about digital platform itself, how they are, because before this, I never knew about digital, doing work by digital, submitting, like everything is online, everything done online. So I think a lot of people might benefit from this, because if, for example, like a woman, you have no, you have to stay at home, you can work from home, you can become a mother at the same time and doing the job at the same time. So it is like for a woman itself, it gives us a lot of benefit, and it opened up a lot of opportunity for us to using this digital platform. So previously, this is my first time um, into the digital marketing platform, and then this is like from Mereka itself, I've learned from A to Z how to do this correctly. So they've been taught us about this, and then it is 100% done by online. For me myself, I experienced, and I've working with two. I'm securing. I managed to close with two different company, which is I never meet them. I never go to their place. They never meet me face to face, and then everything 100% done by online. So I think everyone can benefit this, and then everyone like especially woman. So this is how, this is very convenience for us. Okay, this is where I started to believe that there is a lot of opportunity. Actually, it's not only for the 9 to 5 we must physically to go to the work itself. So no, it's actually we can be at home, be with our children, take care of them at the same time, and then we can gain a lot of opportunities here, and then gain more income. So the main problem is here that lack of knowledge, lack of opportunity. Like we limit ourselves because we didn't know what is digital. There is a digital platform that can really help us in the future, like to gain more income, to put additional income, source of income for ourselves, and then it's gonna help for our own economy, especially for our own economy. Now my vision is very simple. What I have, what my knowledge and my experience, I want to share with everyone, especially for those who really want to do the, to add on their income, to do additional income part of their job, and then to do it more easier for them. Whenever you are, wherever you are, you can do it. You can add on your income. So this is what I dream of. Like this is my vision, to help to everyone have an access, have everyone have the opportunity, same opportunity.
Hello, I'm Nazife Nur Köksal. I'm 25 years old and I'm from Turkey. I'm one of the founding partners of Investia. I would like to start my presentation with a sentence that I like very much. You all know the phrase, "Could you draw me a picture of the happiness?" Well, here with Investia, we enable you to draw a picture of happiness in just 3 steps and 10 seconds. Also, without need for any design knowledge, without need of think any color, any pattern, or any style. Just think a sentence. Investia is an artificial intelligence-based mobile application that turns your sentence into artworks without the need for any design knowledge and allows them to trade within the application. I would like to share with you a few examples that we produced with Investia. For example, the sentence we used while producing this 6 artwork here was, aliens are traveling between planets. And here was a bowl of soup with a monster inside. So what are we doing? As you can see in the examples, we turn your sentences into artworks with just 3 steps and 10 seconds. At the same time, we enable you to earn income by selling an artwork that you have produced or purchased within the application. With Investia, you can earn in-app credits, and every time you trade, easily convert your earned credits into cash. You can produce around weekly change themed concepts and express your thoughts with your artworks. If we look at our income model, we have totally 4 types of income models: credit purchases, commission income, advertising, and sponsorship. While the total size of market we are in is $13.6 billion, our target for the first 5 years is to reach the 20% of these markets. When we look at our roadmap, we launched our mobile application on the 7th June. We aim to reach the 50,000 users by the end of the September and to switch to the blockchain infrastructure by the 2023. If you look at the competition analysis, when you think of stock image, you may think of platforms such as iStock or Shutterstock. But nowadays, stock image sources are changing rapidly. Have you ever heard of Wombo? If you don't, you are one of the rare people who have not heard Wombo before, because Wombo has produced AI-generated artworks and reaching more than 10 million downloads and more than 1 billion visual production in short time of 6 months. We differ from Wombo in terms of our production speed and quality. Moreover, we ensure that artworks produced differently from Wombo can be sold through our application. An African proverb says that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We also set up a dream team for ourselves. With my partner Meli, there are 3 computer engineers in our team. Birce is our UI designer, and Emre is our legal consultant and also partner. I'm also looking at the business development and marketing side. According to Gartner, AI-generated images form the basis of stock media content of the future. We believe that we have developed a technology that will shape the stock media content of the future with Investia. If you want to meet this technology today, you can download our application via our QR code and contact us with our contact information. Thank you for listening.
That was fantastic and a great way to start this panel conversation. I now want to introduce our moderator for this conversation, who's going to bring in her panel, talk a little bit about Elizabeth, Alwina and Nur, and take us forward into our next video where we've got a few more entrepreneurs to share their stories with you. So Khadija, Hashimi, where are you? I think hopefully you'll be able to turn on your camera and
yes,
be
here. I am here.
There she is.
I don't know if you can see me. Hi,
We've
Katie.
got you. Hello. Great to hear you. Over to you. This is all your session. I will step seamlessly into the background, but here to support at any time.
Okay, thanks, Katie. And again, thank you very much for having me again. I was here last year on the Futuremakers Forum in a slightly different capacity. I was part of another session, and it was just so enlightening and enriching, and you learn so much from all of these wonderful young people from across the world that I had to be part of this again. Welcome, everyone. I'm delighted that we have quite a few of you joining us, and I know from all over the world, to Standard Chartered's Future Maker Forum. I think what's really special about this session, and I think Katie said it, is that often it's the unicorn entrepreneurs that are brought into the limelight. But I think we often forget where the journey begins. And just listening into Elizabeth, Alwina, and Nazife's stories, what really excites me is the fact that there was this a yearning to learn, a yearning for knowledge, a yearning for growth. You could sense the passion in their voices, and really about the choices that they have made based on where their lives were at that point. And I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship these days, that there is so much flexibility with technology and the rate at which people can be more flexible and adapt. So I hope you can enjoy this session today. I'll just basically introduce what we're going to cover, and then also introduce a panel very shortly, who we're delighted to have share this screen with today. So we will be exploring how young female entrepreneurs are really pushing the boundaries to achieve their goals. You heard from 3 just now, and we will be learning a little bit more from some others who are on our webinar with us today, as well as learn from panelists who actually work with a lot of young people across many markets. We really should appreciate the kind of challenges and the kind of sort of obstacles that some of our entrepreneurs and our young people are facing today. It could be based on where they're located, based on the amount of knowledge that they have. But again, as I said, it's that yearning to learn more. It's that desire to really grow that actually pulls them all through. But we do need a bit of a support mechanism around that. I would encourage everyone joining. I see a lot of you have already started using the chat function. Please do use the chat function. Do introduce yourselves and ask any questions. We have reserved quite a bit of time towards the end of our session to take in audience questions. So please do keep coming them in. Today you will meet 5 future makers, 3 you've already seen in the video, so Elizabeth, Alwina, and Nazife. And in a short while, I will introduce you to Diana and Saira. But before that, let's move into our panel discussion without wasting any more time. Panelists, I can see some of you on the call, but as I do mention your names, please unmute your videos so we can actually see you. We have Fyodor Mundia Jurogev, is the Senior Global Sustainability Manager, Functions and Business Innovation from Unilever. Fyodor, if you're there, oh, I see you. Hi, Fyodor.
Hi,
Thank
how
you
are
for
you?
joining us today. Very
Thank you
well.
for having me.
Wonderful. We also have Bryn Collada, who's Senior Partnerships Lead at IDEO. Bryn, if you're there, if you want to just unmute and say something so we can catch you on our cameras.
It's not allowing me to unmute my video quite yet, but hi everyone.
Okay, no worries, but we hear you. Hi, Bryn. Thank you for joining. We have Fern Lim, who is the Chief of Staff of Nexus from SC Ventures. I see you now, Bryn, so your video is unmuted. Fern, if you're there, if you might like to unmute as well. Okay. I'll introduce the next panelist. Perhaps Fern is having some issues with the unmute. Saida Morrison. And again, I apologize if I have really messed up the pronunciations of names. I'm trying to pick it up. Please correct me, Saida or Sida. It's the first time we've met.
Sida.
Sida, apologies. My name is often, different in different parts of the world as well. But welcome, Sida. Lovely to see you. I've read up a lot about your business, and we're really happy that you actually joined us today.
Thank you.
So without further ado, I think we'll move into our first round of questions. I have some that I've actually put down for me as a first thoughts, and then we can really progress our discussion based on how your responses are coming in and based on some of the questions that we are receiving. So right up front, I'd love our panelists' feedback or any thoughts that have come to their mind from seeing the Future Makers videos that we just shared, the three entrepreneurs that we shared. And I'll go to Sida first. Sida, you're a serial entrepreneur, if I can give you that kind of name, right? So you have started your own businesses again and again. So it's not just one venture that you've actually built. And I think what might be interesting for the young future makers on our call today is perhaps your insight on what it is that you wish you had known when you first started. So if we wind back to the first business that you started, any feedback or any kind of insight you can share is what you would wish you had known at that point, which can help young future makers who are about to start their own ventures.
Thank you once again, and good morning, everyone. I would say that had I known that everything that I did or that I was doing at the time would feed into what I would then do 20 years later, I think if I had known that I would have been surprised, first of all, but it would have been a very, very good lesson, I think, because I did so much. Or when you're starting business, you never know where it's going to take you, and you never know what knowledge you're actually learning until maybe you're applying that knowledge 20 years later, and then you think, how did I come up with that? Where did that come from? And then that often happens to me, and I think back and I think, well, how do I know that? And it's because I've done it before, or I have learned those nuggets of information maybe 20 years ago. So that is something that would have been great to have known. Also, just to think big. Think big. Don't think that there's any limits to anything. Try as much as you can, I would say, as well. And then from that, it's always knowledge. Knowledge is key in everything that you do.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I think understanding where your journey is an interesting one. Although it could be difficult for entrepreneurs because you don't really know where your business is going to land. But great insights. Thank you very much. I'll move to Fyodor, and I want to stick with this thinking big concept, Fyodor. And you're a very experienced marketeer, and you have developed new business models for many micro entrepreneurs, and that's a lot of the work that you're actually doing right now. We heard from Nazife, and there are other entrepreneurs like her who are trying to market and scale technologies, so actually go towards bigness or grow. So, what advice would you like to give them? Thank you.
Thank you, Adija, for that kind introduction, and hi, everyone. Yeah, so I think first reflections on the video, I think quite inspiring. And as as much as things are different in different markets, some things remain the same. And for those young female entrepreneurs who are on the journey and are moving from the piloting phase or the early on stages to sort of scale up, I think one of the things that remains critical is that you're addressing a certain society need and you're offering a solution. And if you're clear what that solution is, and you articulate it and provide the best solution or a solution that is affordable, then you have a scalable model. And some things to look at for is how is the business model structured? Are you able to, for example, break even based on a certain threshold that you've agreed on or set for your business? And based on that, that if you scale up, then the model that is profitable or breaks even at a certain point, if scaled up, will be able to offer value and become sustainable. And if you look at most of the young entrepreneurs we work with across markets, there are a couple of things that they look for, and I believe the study also shows that is once is a need to access learning, and skills capacity building. This is quite fundamental across all entrepreneurs in that you would want to understand basic business management skills, basic digital and financial literacy skills to allow you run your business effectively. And once you have that, then you move to a space where you want some sort of access to credit. And once you get access to credit, it could be retail credit, it could be family-driven credit, or it could be from an institution like Stanchart that understands the need for supporting young entrepreneurs. And once you get that, then you're able to, push on with your business. And later, you move to a space where you have access or you look for access to markets, which is now expanding to more markets, spaces or consumers. And I believe if you're able to leverage all of these different opportunities, then you're able to scale up your business across any of the markets that you would be in. And the challenges will remain, but I think embracing technology has also shown that it's able to cut the sort of friction for most entrepreneurs as they move on to improve their businesses and their lives.
Thanks, Fyodor. A lot of really interesting tips that you've actually shared, and I was noting some of them down, which we can come back to later in the discussion. I want to stay though with your point on access to credit, right? And I want to move to Bryn. Bryn, I know that you've been working with Fyodor because you've been working with Unilever to extend digital retail credit to micro entrepreneurs across some of our Standard Chartered markets. And I wanted your advice specifically for Elizabeth, who is just looking to set up and start out. What support is there available for young entrepreneurs who are now trying to get their ideas off the ground? Thanks, Bryn. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Khadija, and thanks everyone for being here today. So IDEO.org is a human-centered design organization. And when I think about supporting young people in entrepreneurship, there are a couple sort of approaches and ways that we look at it. I think the first, to Fyodor's point, is thinking about how can we better support young entrepreneurs to prove out their business models and really understand their customer base and design solutions that are going to succeed in their market. And so the tools of human-centered design are They're not rocket science. They're open source. There are many that are available online, and I'll drop a link in the chat. But I think that one place to start is utilizing the tools of human-centered design to think through your business ideas, get to know your customers, use things like a business model canvas to figure out the financial side of things, and do research planning to do user research and prototyping, and make sure that that venture that you're launching is really able to succeed in the market that you're working in. So that's on the entrepreneur side of things. But I think to your point, Khadija, there's so much that the other stakeholders in the ecosystem can do to better support entrepreneurs as they're launching businesses. So for instance, over the past year, we've been working with Standard Chartered and with Unilever to improve the ways that small scale retailers in Kenya and Pakistan can access digital credit. And I think this crew knows that world over, we see young women demonstrating better borrowing behaviors than men oftentimes, but they have issues in accessing credit because of that access to collateral or assets that are often needed to access traditional credit mechanisms. So I think if we as an industry can shift from a mindset of how can we empower young women to access traditional financial products toward more of a mindset of how can we create more creative funding mechanisms that work for young women and work for our users, I think we'll get a lot further. So within our project with Unilever, we were able to offer retail credit, which allowed entrepreneurs to increase their stock volumes in their stores and better serve their customers. But we saw, retail credit is great because business owners don't need separate collateral. Their business is their asset, and we're leveraging their business. So I'd love to see more models that are getting creative about how to fund and support small scale entrepreneurs to grow their businesses that are using the assets that they do have.
Thanks again, Bryn. Again, lots of really useful sort of insights coming from you. I wonder if we have Fern online now, because I know we hadn't got Fern earlier. Fern, are you there?
Hey, Khadija.
If so,
How are you?
There you are. Nice to see you, Fern. Thank you so much for joining us. So Fern, I'm sure you did see the earlier videos, and our first entrepreneur, actually the second one, Alvina from Malaysia, she was talking a little bit about how she's pivoted her work to become a freelance someone, and I think from your own kind of background with SC Nexus, if you can give some kind of insight to Alvina and other entrepreneurs like her on the people and culture side of things. So as an entrepreneur, as you start growing your business, you will be hiring more people, right? So from that perspective, how can an entrepreneur continue to focus on his or her own development and that of their teams? Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So I did manage to have the opportunity to watch the video. So I thought it was a great pitch. So I'm a working mom, right? I've got 3 kids. So when she talks about the pains of having to handle family and work, I totally understand her pain. I think before I jump into my answers, I think I just want to say that what she's talking about is the gig economy, right? And the gig economy, the freelancer economy, it's booming, right? If you just do a quick Google, it's a $500 billion opportunity. So I do think the trend is here to stay, and she's definitely on the right track, right? In terms of advice down to people development, I think I'll split my answers into 2 parts. First is a personal professional development, and the second one is a team development, right? As you rightly said, as she expands a team. The first thing is right now she's a solo freelancer. So one thing she needs to understand is she needs to find a platform where she can plug into and amplify her brand. One of the things that she needs to note is traditionally, if we work for a large corporate, our identity it's very closely tied to the corporate's identity, the corporate brand, brand, right? So if you go to LinkedIn, everyone says I'm ex McKinsey, I'm ex Uber. A lot of them tie their identity to that. But she needs to realize that now her brand is her name. So she needs to actively work on amplifying her own personal brand. Right. So that's one. Now, going down to her own personal development, I think she needs to remember that because she's a working mom, freelancing mom, sleep is performance, health is performance. She did say that, I have no more fixed working hours, but then goes the other side, right? Because she has no fixed working hours, the lines will get blurred. So she needs to understand and learn how to pace herself. Now, going down to as she starts to expand the team and how is she going to build her team, right? I think number one, she needs to hire right. I soon realized that a lot of people like to hire fast, but they don't hire right. And what soon happens is if you don't build a team of people who believe in your mission and you have aligned values, it's going to derail very, very fast. So climb the right mountain together. If not, you're climbing the wrong mountain in the first place.
Thank you so much. And I love that, right? So I think climb the right mountain, beautiful. And sort of, I can even working for a corporate and not an entrepreneur, I can really relate to that, right? And I think the point that you made on hiring right and not hiring fast, I think often, and I can just imagine, like as an entrepreneur, you're so gung ho about starting everything and getting to an end that you want to rush things because you're looking at the bigger picture. But I love this kind of reflection that you've shared around stepping back and really thinking through. So thank you so much. Now everyone, we're going to introduce you to two more of our entrepreneurs. The first video that we shared covered three of them, and now it is my pleasure to share a video with our entrepreneurs Diana and Syra. I think, Katie, I'm handing over to you to play the video. Thank you.
So in 2017, so literally 5 years ago, I came to Ireland with my family, and none of us was like speaking English. So then my dad was like, "Ha, you gotta speak English." And then I learned English in 3 months. But throughout those 3 months, I was practicing and everything. But I still had to, even with the language barrier, and even though I wasn't ready to speak, I still had to go into physical offices, talk to social welfare officers, talk to doctors, and at different doctor appointments, because both my dad and my brother had medical conditions. So it was kind of like a life and death situation, because you have to get a medication and you have to do this and that. And how can you survive in a new country when you don't have um, any support and you don't know anybody? So it's harder when you come in and you have nobody here to help you. So from just helping my family, it moved on into helping friends of us or people that my dad would meet, because all we're from the same town. So then it was spread like wildfire. People would want help and people would want translators, because the interpreters that are provided by services that you can go to, they're very low on numbers. So therefore, people do rely on families and friends of families and all of that. It's just like a connective web. You once they know you can help them, they would ask, and then my dad would feel really bad, so like, oh yeah, my daughter will do it. So then it just went on from that. So it's just like, that's my overview, but also seeing people waiting at those services as well, in large queues, waiting for some answers, and then not having their answers, not having their questions answered properly, because you don't really know exactly, you don't really understand. So Script aims to help immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers fill out government supports in their native language. So we are the bridge to help the people coming through that fall through administrative gaps, and the Irish government. So we make everyone count. When it comes to Script, like, I've been working on it for nearly 3 years, and it's still making me keep going, because I know how important it is. So what I think Script right now, and what I'm planning in the future, is I'm opening discussions with nonprofit organizations that already are helping the community at the moment. So we're in talks with CrossCare and Future Ireland, and there's a migrant project as well, and there's different organizations that I've reached out to. And in terms of script, even if there are people in the room that are from those places, I would highly recommend that they reach out to me, because I just want to learn about their challenges and the problems that they face, and then the observations that they have acquired doing their work. Because as much as I am well versed in this, and from my own experience, and for talking to nearly 200 Ukrainians in a refugee accommodation that they've been living in for the past month, it's not just about my opinion, and it's about people that actually work every day in this environment, and they know the ins and outs, and they know what works, and they know what doesn't work. And what I want to find out is what works and it doesn't work, and then put it into a media platform. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Saira. I'm CEO and founder of MedIQ, which is Pakistan's first integrated virtual healthcare platform, which is providing health and care at your terms, on your fingertips, available anywhere, anytime, with 60% reduction in cost of healthcare services. And we are doing this by connecting clinicians, customers, and companies to put great care within everyone's reach. And we strongly believe that we can only do so by moving the healthcare forward through scalable and sustainable technology. Now, healthcare in Pakistan is very traditional, brick and mortar, hospital-centered approach, where even for a minor ailment, a customer has to walk to a hospital. These hospitals are present in the urban areas. People have to travel for long distances, long waiting times, and patients only get a consultation time of 2.5 minutes per consultation. 70% of these healthcare expenditures are coming out of pocket, which push people into poverty because of a disease episode. The system is not automated, the electronic medical records are not maintained, there is no continuum of care. While according to WHO, more than 90% of these patients can be easily treated at home. Healthcare is a big market in Pakistan. It's about a $22 billion market. More than 50% of our population is having access to smart healthcare phones, while at the same time, 50% of the population is not having access to any sort of healthcare service. So if we can connect the people who have access to internet and smartphones and give them healthcare which reaches their doorstep through scalable and sustainable technology, we can help masses and we can help them in coming out of poverty or going below the poverty line. This is what we are doing at MedIQ. MedIQ, through its virtual platform, which is an omni-channel platform using multiple ways and means to connect with the customers, provides patient-centered healthcare services at the doorstep of the consumer. We are all in one virtual care platform, which I think as a marketplace provides doctor visits, consultations, teleconsultations, pharmacy at home, and lab services, and even referral to the hospital if required. So though we initially started as a platform which connects consumers with the health service providers, we soon pivoted our model and using our technology stack, we have started developing into everything which a company needs to deliver virtual care. So we provide plug-and-play software which gets integrated with the customers or the consumers or the organization's platform. We provide them a network of credentialed health service providers, and we provide them support to create the digital arm for virtual care. And the moment we did a pivot, we immediately saw an increase in the number of the customers utilizing our services. So in 18 months since our launch, we have seen a strong demand from our customers. We have served more than 100,000 paying customers with a GMV of about $1.69 US. We are the fastest growing health technology platform in Pakistan, having more than 9,000 health service providers. We strongly believe that we have the best tech stack which is available and which can get integrated easily into multiple platforms. We have a big number of customers, so our customer base is more than 9 million now. And through our platform, we are providing healthcare which is not only available at the doorstep, it's accessible, it's convenient, it provides customer satisfaction, And our consultation time has increased to 14 minutes instead of 2.5 minutes. And there is significant reduction in cost of healthcare services. It's about 60% reduction. And majority of the people whom we have served are either located in the rural areas or they are women and the children who are dependent on others to get healthcare services. All this is possible with the help of our people who are delivering the difference. So I am the CEO, but I am supported by our founding management team with expertise in all the areas. When we compare ourselves to the competitors, I think we are the only platform which is providing end-to-end solution for healthcare, ensuring continuum of care. We are currently raising about $300,000 at seed stage so that we can enhance our tech stack. We can have about 40,000 health service providers on board in our platform. And we look forward to serving 1.4 million customers in 3 years so that we can deliver according to the financial plan which we have made for 3 years. And we can also fulfill our vision of putting great care within everyone's reach through scalable and sustainable technology. So thank you, everyone, and please join us in our journey of putting great care within everyone's reach through scalable and sustainable technology. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and thank you all.
So welcome back. Wonderful to hear from these brilliant entrepreneurs. So much passion and energy. And, I was just looking, I was like, Diana must be still in school. She looks so young in that video and she's come up with such a brilliant idea. Well done to you, Diana. And I loved the pictures in your background. Very, very artistic. I will now move to the panel. And I think, panelists, it would be wonderful for us to just reflect on the journeys that Diana and Saira have had and are having, both very, very different. And I'm going to move to Bryn first. So Bryn, I want, please, if you might like to reflect on Diana's journey. And, just through her video, I sense that she's been working across so many barriers and sectors and across like public and private sector providers as well. And I'm wondering possibly if you can share some insights from your own experience forming partnerships across sectors and locations that can help Diana as she sort of scales through partnering. And it would be really interesting for our other entrepreneurs on the line. Thanks, Bryn. Over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Khadija. I'll start off by saying, Diana, huge congratulations on everything you've accomplished so far. It was so great to hear your story and what you're working on. I think it mirrors a lot of my experience over my partnerships career in trying to harmonize, the needs of government, the needs of individual people, navigating these complex systems. And I think you're going about it in exactly the right way by trying to understand the needs of these organizations that you hope Script will eventually be able to partner with. I think the same holds exactly true when you're starting to look for that next level of investment, and de-risking that investment for folks is really key to that. So how can you be proving out your concept, approaching those with investment with the evidence and with the anecdotes of success stories. So when I think about like approaching large scale private sector companies for investment, it might make sense to look to leverage grant capital to do early explorations and build your evidence and your proof points before going toward private sector capital. So figuring out what are those grant programs where you can use as sort of a pilot that helps you get to a proof of concept and say, I have all the evidence here. Let's get to that next level. But I think also if your ultimate goal is gaining government support or buy-in, it might make more sense to seek a startup incubator or a similar program that helps you sort of also create those proof points and that evidence, but through a different sort of mechanism. And I think your mindset is totally right in identifying what those different incentives are. So if government adoption is what you're aiming for, I think identifying those government officials who want their legacy to be in welcoming or integrating migrants and refugees into their society. How can you be ready with everything, all your T's crossed and I's dotted when they're ready to make their mark and leave their legacy? And then you can work with them through partnerships to do so. So just a few different avenues toward achieving large scale success, but I think you're taking all of the right steps so far. So congratulations.
Thanks for that, Bryn. I want to move to Fern next. And I think my question to you, Fern, really is for Saira's business. So when you look at what Saira is trying to do, she's rethinking traditional ideas about a sector, the health sector, and trying to really transform it and digitize it and make it more sort of tenable in many ways. You at Nexus, you are actually pushing the boundaries of banking and really transforming this to being a banking as a service. So I was wondering possibly if you can share like a potential parallel to what you're going through in the bank with Nexus and what you have learned in your journey of transforming the business that Saira can learn from for her business. Over to you.
Yep, no problem. So I think at least from the banking perspective, um, okay, so let's get the fundamentals right. So for any industry, when you want to disrupt it or innovate it, there are a few critical aspects, right? There's the essence of timing, there's the element of mindset, and there's also the very important part of institutional readiness. Yeah. So at least for banking perspective, traditionally large corporates or banks, for example, they tend to rely on the regulator. When regulator says, I'm going to do open banking, then all the banks would follow. Or they would rely on a corporate sponsor, right? If it comes from top down, people tend to follow. But I think what would be a bit more practical for Saira is, the journey of
I think we might have lost Fern. Yeah, because I can
Try
see
and get her
others.
back. Don't worry.
All right, that's great. So what we'll do is we'll give Fern a few seconds, and otherwise we can move to the next panelist and come back to Fern. So just give
sorry, I'm
her
back.
maybe. Awesome. Oh, back to you.
I always laugh, for a person who spent her whole large career in technology, I face the most technology issues all the time during my panels. That's funny. Anyway, as I was saying, the only parallel tip that I can share is sometimes people need a bit of courage. Yeah. And what that means is we give them that courage. And how do you do that? You build success stories. So as you go and innovate and disrupt, find your community of rock stars, your innovation heroes, your rock stars, and you put them on the front page, right? When you make them so successful, people feel that sense of FOMO and they want to be part of your tribe, right? So you build your momentum together with your allies.
Interesting. Thanks for that. I think that's a great tip, right? On also building the culture for the organization that you're creating. So thank you so much, Fern, for that. I will now move to Sida. And again, Sida, just really plugging into your past experience of launching so many different enterprises. I know on our webinar today, we have lots of young future makers who are thinking of or in the midst of or about to launch, new ideas or new businesses. And I was wondering if you can share some advice or tips on what they should be thinking about as they launch their new concerns.
I think the most important lesson that I've learned bringing my business into Accra, to Ghana, is to do research, market research, know who you think will frequent your business. Is, again, like what Fern says, is the market ready for your business if it's something new that you're introducing? That is the key thing, I would say, just to know whether the market is ready. If it's not, are you able to pause and wait, look at whether there might be any potential competition, That's what I would say, just to know your market and know who your potential customers would be.
Okay. Thanks for that, Cedar. Of course, right. Do your research. Is there a need for your product? Because you need to make some money, right? At the end of the day. So understand the competition. So the lay of the land. Brilliant. I'll now move to Fyodor next. And then I would like to invite our future makers, the 5 entrepreneurs, if they would like to ask any questions directly of our panel. But Fyodor, let's take it to the next level, right? So Sida's talked, obviously, doing your market research, need for your product, who are your customers, what kind of competition is out there. Then I guess the next step is access to capital, right? To actually invest or build business and then grow it. And the data actually tells us that women's access to capital or lack thereof really limits the ability for them to even think about starting or growing their business. So from your work with Unilever, and you've worked with thousands of women entrepreneurs, and I guess the beauty of the role you've played is you've worked across many cultures. And right at the beginning, you talked about how even though things are different, I wrote this down, things are different in different markets, some things remain the same. So we really want to tap into that knowledge. And I would love for you to share with our entrepreneurs on the call today examples of where women are actually and really achieving their goals and how they're doing this. Thanks, Fyodor.
Thank you. And I think just to first, congratulate Diana and Syra for the great work they're doing. Quite impressive, transformational. Ideas are just brighten up your day. So, well done and keep at it. I think the reason why we on this forum, looking at Standard Chartered's commitment through Futuremakers is to address and tackle the inequality around economic inclusion. As Unilever, we've made a commitment which is quite similar, and that's why we've collaborated a lot, with Standard Chartered to address this issue. Commitment is to support over 5 million retail stores or retailers or entrepreneurs grow their business through addressing 3 things. One of them is skills, the second is finance, and the third is technology. So narrowing down to technology, looking at the start and grow phase, I think when you're starting out, one of the things you're seeing is the challenges young entrepreneurs face in starting is first, you have no footprint, you have no historical data to support logical borrowing, right? And that's why majority of finance in most markets, so for young entrepreneurs, is through family and friends, or community of groups. And that's why they get it, because at least they know them, they have a sort of historical information about them. And when you progress from that, some institutions will ask you for collateral. And the challenge with collateral is with the inequality around economic inclusion, young entrepreneurs have been sidelined through many ways. And these are institutional external factors, from owning identity cards to owning bank accounts to owning property or inheriting property. So that becomes a challenge that most young entrepreneurs face. And similar to the growth phase or the scale-up phase, if you look at Sarah's ideas, for example, these are transformational ideas or different models that have not existed. So any logical structure for borrowing would find it hard to embrace funding such an idea. But if you look across markets, what is working and what has worked for these young entrepreneurs, one of the things we're seeing is embracing platforms that allow you to access capital, for example, through interest-free or no interest working capital. So, we have markets where we are availing working capital to women to start up a business. So if you have such opportunities, jump into those ideas, look for those grants, look for those funding opportunities where interest is limited or does not exist for you to kick off. Once you have that, the second bit is accessing skills. And skills allows you to know how to transform the business. So, we're seeing in markets where you're able to embrace and engage in financial literacy training. Once you're able to access these facilities, you're able to grow your business. And with our retailers, we are seeing an average of 28% growth with retailers or young entrepreneurs who are able to access retail skills, retail credit, and embrace capacity building through skills programs. So, those are some of the ways that young entrepreneurs can embrace and grow and can mirror. And lastly, it's embracing technology. Technology has allowed young entrepreneurs to grow and thrive, and that is from accessing for example, finance through mobile wallets, digital payments, etc. From accessing markets, from digital ordering, online platform, m-commerce, e-commerce. So there's a role that technology helps to cut previous, I would say, route to market challenges or route to shopper challenges that existed. So if you have open platforms, technology that is available to you that you can use to access markets, you leverage that so that you can enable your business to grow by leveraging and accessing markets you'd not normally have the capacity or resources to do.
Thanks, Fyodor. Really, really insightful. And now I'm actually thinking that I want to hand it over to our 5 future makers who we all saw in our videos, and allow you an opportunity to ask our panelists some questions directly. And I think I know that there are 3 of you who have asked to ask a question, and I will move to Nazife first. And to our panelists, if you pick up a question, anyone who wants to answer, you need not, unless you have something different that you might like to offer. If we get the answer from one panelist, that should be fine, and we'll move on to the next question, just so that we can bring in as many questions as we can, because I know my chat is also going full with a lot of questions from the audience, and we want to give enough time there. So, Nazife, would you like to unmute and perhaps ask your question to either a specific panelist or generally to the panelists on the call? Over to you, Nazife.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me? My voice? Yeah. Okay. I can ask maybe a general question. But first, actually, being an entrepreneur is, I think, always a journey that requires courage. And at this point, I think today's event provides this courage. And therefore, first of all, I would like to thank you, everyone who contributes to realization of this event. And I want to ask, actually, as Investia mobile application, we cooperate with brands using text-to-art technology and enable them to offer gamification applications to their users. The network provided by such organizations at the point of communication with brands is very valuable for young entrepreneurs like us. At this point, I can ask what more can be done to improve this network, and how can big companies better work together to help and encourage young entrepreneurs like us? I want to ask this question. Thank you.
Okay. Any one of our panelists who is feeling brave enough to respond?
I can give it a go as I wait for the other ladies to jump in. Yeah, I think, Nazif, one of the things organizations need to do, and something that Unilever and organizations like Standard Chartered have done, is embrace purposeful-led communication and brand purpose within what they do. What that means is integrating solutions that talk to the hearts and minds of your consumers and make them sustainable. And if you look at how brands and services are crafted, one thing is understanding what barriers do this or are the shoppers or consumers facing. For you, could be the technology platform or expanding that. Yeah. So how can we help do that? So once you understand what the gap is, it's ensuring that you create and design a brand that is purposeful, communicate interventions that are helping you achieve that, and make them long term. And the reason why long term makes sense is because interventions such as this are costly to any organization, and it's not a 1 year, 2 year sort of intervention that you do. It's more long term. Some of the young businesses collapse before the 3rd year. Yeah, so you can imagine if an intervention doesn't help you get to the 3rd year, then it would have failed. So there's need to invest in the long term, And investing in the long term also means leveraging partners. And what you've realized as Unilever, you're not able to do it alone. And if you want to go far, they say you can't go alone. So you need to look for like-minded partners to support such initiatives, so that like-minded partners can collaborate in offering solutions for the same group of I would say consumers. So that will be I think the call to organizations like ours, and to embrace and support you on that journey.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I'll, I'll,
Theodore.
I'll I'll
And
jump in.
okay, sure, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think so I'll go one step into how do you build your own brand. One of the things that you can consider is to join an accelerator. There are many accelerators that don't take equity. Go look for them. Why I say go work with an accelerator is because number one, they already have a structured program for you that will teach you how to run your business properly. They have a solid team that can help you to amplify your brand and your reputation, right? And it traditionally culminates in a demo day where they will train you again to pitch for funding and overall work on your business model. So working with an accelerator actually gives you that access to new markets, access to new partners, right? And access to new opportunities. So sometimes when you say, oh, what can big organizations do for us? I will flip the question. You don't wait for organizations to do something for you. You flip it around and you go and look for the opportunities yourself.
Thanks, Fern. And I think, is someone else, any other panelists wanting to comment, or can we move on? Yeah. I was just saying, I think Fern has put it nicely. It's a lot of the ownership initiative should reside with the entrepreneur. But Standard Chartered, and I know Saira has been part of the Pakistan Women in Tech program. We actually do have an incubator/accelerator, which does exactly what Fern has outlined. So if anyone is interested, we run it across 9 of our markets globally. Please go to our website and have a look. I needed to plug that in because we're really proud of this program that is actually aiming to do exactly this. And I just want us to refer back to the inaugural session where Bill was chairing, and Bill was asked a similar question. And I thought it might be really useful to just add on to what Theodore has talked about. So Standard Chartered is a purpose-driven company. And obviously, as a bank, we're here to make profit, but we want to do it with a purpose. And lifting participation through financial inclusion, especially for young people and women, is integral to the core of what we want to do. And so just extending on what Theodore has said, both from a business perspective and a community perspective, and that's why we do have a lot of programs under Futuremakers, where we're trying to bridge that kind of inequality divide. So I hope that answers your question, Nazife. I want to move to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, I do see you. I know you wanted to ask a question. If you'd like to unmute and ask it directly. Unmute your line. Thanks, Elizabeth. You need to unmute. So just on your computer, if you can just, there we go.
Can you hear me now? Right. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm Elizabeth from Zambia. My question goes to the big entrepreneurs. What are the key factors one can consider when setting up an internet cafe type of business in rural areas, like Zambia, it being a rural area where we're experiencing the failure of network connectivity? So, what are the factors that someone can consider for that person to set up an internet cafe in such areas? Thank you.
Okay. If we would like to hear from some of our other panelists, I'm not sure if maybe Bryn might like to take this, or Sida.
I was just thinking about that. So the areas, hi, well done, by the way. The things that you would need to consider if it was me in business, understanding how it can be in certain countries with, obviously you need electricity, right, to run your business. So I would think about, okay, if that is not free flowing, I'd have to invest in a generator. So you would need that. to keep just the business going, lights on, basically. In terms of the internet, you obviously would need a good internet and strong internet connection. You'd have to explore possibility of what happens if that fails. But I would just say that the generator is something that you would really need to think about and factor that into your business plan and costs. I hope that's helped somewhat.
Yeah, I would just add, in areas that don't yet have the level of sort of bandwidth or internet required, this might be a time to take a step back and sort of survey the landscape in terms of partnerships that you could create and who are the organizations that are seeking to expand internet access to rural areas. How can you get in touch with them, put your district on the map with them, and start to build that awareness around the needs in your communities and explore what partnerships, what private sector organizations may be interested in expanding their networks to places like your district, Elizabeth.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Bryn and Cedar. I have a question from Saira. I think she might be having some connection issues, so I actually have it, and I'll ask the question, and whoever of the panelists might like to respond. We talk about inclusion of financially excluded through digital initiatives and mobile payments. We also talk about saving products for marginalized community. But in my observation, even the financially included population doesn't have financial literacy. What are we doing about that? So whoever is working in this space, if you'd like to take this question, thank you.
I think I'll chime in here. One thing that we've seen in working with organizations who are trying to increase financial inclusion and extend financial services to a broader audience is that to date, digital financial services often test the financial literacy and the digital literacy of users by, putting penalties when a mistake is made that may disincentivize users to come back and keep using them. So I think one thing that we are hoping to see more of and pushing our partners to do more of is to create digital financial products that help teach as you work through them, as you use them more. Teach financial literacy, teach digital literacy through small nudges and encouragements along the way, and by reducing the penalties when mistakes are made or lowering the barriers to access. And so those are just small things from the design side that we're trying to encourage more organizations to take up as they're launching financial products. And we hope to see more of it.
I could also build on that based on the work we did, for example, with Just a Duka platform. One of the things that came out is 19% of the retailers had who received training, so they're able to understand the information. So there's need to make the information very palatable, easy to access, easy to digest. And if you look at for example, how media is consumed, we've moved from consuming media in minutes to seconds. So there's need for information and learning to be made exciting and easily accessible and digestible. On the other hand, some of the things that they brought up is, as much as they've run businesses in the past, and we're talking about retailers who probably had been running a business for 2 to 3 years or more, they are not gotten to a point where they had access any financial literacy. So it's true that most of businesses, despite running their ventures, have not had opportunity. And so what you're able to do is ensure that they have different modules, whether it's credit, for example, in this case, accessing retail credit. There are a lot of myths and misinformation around credit and what it does in terms of exposing you to tax or exposing you to other things. But what people miss, or what most entrepreneurs are missing, it's the impact that it has on their business. If you access it, how can that improve your business? So I think there's that level of knowledge on what is a positive aspect that financial literacy or financial services can avail you. And the second bit is then, how do I service such facilities? And I think IDEO did a very a good job in understanding the gap that was there in a three-way communication for people to know when their payments were due, what they could access, when their credit limit was improved due to better payment. And once you're able to give such information to retailers, they're able to improve their credit score, their credit limit, and allow themselves to use the money they have to grow their business, and they're not limited to what they can access or they could access before from either the turnover or from their savings.
Thank you, Fyodor. And I'm cognizant that we have slightly over half an hour left, and I really want to get to the audience questions. But I want to give an opportunity to Diana and Alwina in case they have any questions. So, ladies, what I'm going to do here is, if you wouldn't mind, maybe ask your questions together. So, like Diana, maybe you ask your question, and then Alwina, you can come and ask your question, so that our panelists can potentially combine your answers to save some time. So can I move to Diana first? If you want to ask your question, please.
Hi, thank you so much for the comments after our pitches. I was just wondering, in terms of raising funds, a challenge that I'm facing at the moment is like we're going through this incubator accelerator program, and it's more about they've given us funding, but it is not enough. Translators are really expensive, translate by words, and documents right now are like from 60,000 characters each, and it has reached like a really high amount of money that we can't really provide to be able to do that. And I was wondering, in terms of raising funds, how would you go about that? Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Diana. I've noted that. Can we move to Almira as well, so that we can get both of yours?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Okay, my question is that because I'm doing freelancing right now, it's a very new thing for me, and I know that Mareka has a thought us A to Z about this platform, and it's just that like Fern said just now, it's my brand is my own name. So it's like what else the advice that you could give is that for the new young entrepreneur, how actually we want to sustain in this, because it's not going to be easy, of course, to sustain our customer, to find out the new client, and to bring out our idea. And is it right, like, is it okay if I have the, like, I'm out of the whatever that I know, because I'm doing accounting, so I want to research more for the more client, like how it's going to be, what is the best platform, what is the best advice. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Alwina. Okay, so we have two slightly different questions. I'll just rephrase a little bit. The first is about receiving funding, but when the funding is not enough, what does an entrepreneur do? The second was around investing in the own brand name and how to reach out to potential clients, if I'm not mistaken. So if we can ask any panelists, if you might want to answer both, or maybe part of it, and then we'll move to the audience questions. Okay. Any thoughts, panelists? Yeah. Thanks, Fyodor.
Okay, I think Frank can go. Frank can go first. Ladies first, please.
Okay. I think I'll try and address Diana's question first. The question is really about raising funds, right? Because I think what I've heard is you've given away some equity, raised X dollars, and then you realize it's not enough. I think what you need to do is you have to be very, very clear about what your financial model looks like. I understand that at your age, it may be a bit difficult. So look for good mentors who will be able to help you with that. One of the things that you should watch out for is also look for a good investor, who is willing to spend like your first 100 days together to knock out your business plan, to watch your financials very, very tightly, and just walk the distance with you for your first 100 days. Yeah. Why I say your financial model is very important is because essentially that actually forms the basis of your projection, right? If you tell me that you have burned too much cash, it's either your projection is not accurate, right? Or there may have been external factors where your cost has gone up. So you have to manage your costs, and you have to think about how do you want to cut your costs. Of course, the alternative is you need to go and raise a second round, right? But what happens is when you raise a second round, you are giving away, you're diluting yourself further. One thing you need to watch out for is when people get very excited, right? Investors say, I believe in your model, I'll give you X dollars. The tipping point here is once you give more than 50% of your shares, you can kiss goodbye to your business already. So don't get too excited, yeah? I know you're still young. Find a good mentor, find a good investor that you trust, and ask for advice, right? Get them to walk that journey with you. And that's it. So watch your cost.
Yep. I think some good advice there. I'll give mine around the brands or building the brands. So, what they say around brands is brands are leaky buckets. Every day you exist as a brand, you lose 50% of your users or shoppers. So every day there's need to recruit. Yeah. And you being a brand is a brand promise. What you commit to do, either through quality, through service, the first thing to ensure is you deliver that. So if you say you'll deliver 1 to 3, ensure you deliver 1 to 4. Yeah, bare minimum 3. So I think that's the first lesson. And there are 3 ways that are proven to grow brands. And one of them is ensuring, one, you get more buyers. As I said, if you're losing 50% of your shoppers, consumers every day, or customers, you need to recruit more. So ensure that you're getting more buyers to try out your product. So the different ways to do that, giving trials, sampling, communicating to different sets of consumers who've not had your product before. So that would work around more buyers. The second being getting existing users or customers to buy more. How do you do that? You could get them to do that by offering more occasions. So, if there was an occasion where I could only consume your product, for example, our food business, through breakfast, can I get you to consume the same product over lunch or through snacking? So they're building more occasions around that. They could be also getting the existing users to buy more or consume more by offering or having offers or incentivizing them. So you'll find when you go to the shop or you go to the malls or supermarkets, there are offers where you say you buy 2 get a third one free, or buy this at a discount. So get ways based on your product offering or service offering to incentivize people to consume more. And lastly, offer more benefits. The reason why you'll retain consumers and shoppers is by improving your product every day. So knowing that if I offer this product today, how can I improve it and offer and charge more? Yeah. So as you offer more benefits, you have a opportunity to charge more and earn more as a business. So I'd say the 3 probably basic ways to grow your business would be get more buyers, offer more benefits, and get existing buyers to buy more.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Again, wonderful listening in from our future makers on the call. And now I'm going to move to audience questions. And the questions that we're receiving are largely for the panelists. But if there is a question for one of the future makers, I will kind of put it forward. Since Fyodor, you had the mic, I'm just going to stay with you. So there's a question for you. Through your insights supporting programs for small retailers and entrepreneurs, what are some of the biggest challenges young female entrepreneurs are going through, and how are you supporting them? I know you've touched upon this in some of your responses earlier, but if you might just want to synthesize. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I think I'll reflect back on what I said in terms of this issue being long-term. So the challenges that we are facing around digital financial inclusion, the inequality has been there for years. And with that, we need structures to bridge that gap and get more people onboarded in terms of accessing this. So there are different ways to do that. One would be through advocacy. So this is why you engage with partners such as government, non-for-profit organizations to drive legislation that supports young entrepreneurs, especially women, to access some of these services. So as I said before, it could be accessing, for example, getting identity cards that allow you to open financial accounts. It could be legislation around inheritance. where you're able to access wealth that was generated by previous generations to you. It could be access to government services without having someone to support you, and the markets and cultures where you need, for example, a male figure to support you or allow you to access certain services. So that is the advocacy bit that we help with across markets. The second one would be cutting the barriers around access to finance skills and technology, and this is either by subsidizing the cost or making some of these services free. And as I said, in most markets, we've been able to offer free working capital to certain, to young entrepreneurs, especially female, where we give you capital for you to run your business, and with that, you're able to at least get the jump start. And for those who've already started, based on some of these programs that we did with Standard Chartered, we offer interest-free credit. So you have an existing program, but we give you interest-free credit for a certain number of days. And we know, for example, in the retail business, it's a high turnover business. You're able to sell with your goods within the first week or so. So if you're able to give, for example, 13 days of interest-free credit, we know you can buy what you can sell, not what you can afford. So you stock your goods, you sell that, and you pay back interest-free credit, and allows you to grow your credit limit. So those are some of the interventions that we've done over and above availing skills and capacity building across the offerings.
Thank you so much, Fyodor. And I'm going to use some of your responses to address another question that we got from Thembalethu. Again, I apologize if I mispronounced your name. The question was, young people don't have collateral to put up against business loans, which you've kind of addressed, right? So Fyodor, you've covered a little bit about where people can actually go get capital. But the question continues, how is the bank and the foundation working to ease access to capital for early stage youth-led startups? So I will just address that very, very briefly. As I mentioned earlier, and I think it came out in some of the conversation, through Futuremakers by Standard Chartered, we work towards employability and entrepreneurship. We have many programs based in our markets where we're actually trying to allow and enable young people getting this access. We have lots of programs, and there are a few people on the call. I know I see Neil Fleming there. I know Ai Nakagawa, Victoria Jory, lots of people from our team who can potentially give you a link where you can actually go to our website and learn a little bit more about how you can engage with us through our markets or through the group. The follow-up question is, how do organizations working with young entrepreneurs partner with the foundation? Again, one of our colleagues will just put that up for you and it'll be on a link. There is a question from ZKKKP, and this question is around, I would like to know financial literacy from scratch. This webinar talks about financial literacy and entrepreneurship. How will I get something? So I see Neil has put out a paper on financial inclusion. I think that's a great place to start. So I'd recommend it. I can see it right in the chat if you might like to go to that link there. And if you have further questions, please continue to write into us. We have there. Thanks, Thembalathu. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Thanks for the message. The next question is from Elliot, and I think I'm going to request Bryn to answer this because I think Bryn brought up HCD in one of our earlier responses. So Bryn, if you're up for it, the question is, any specific evidence demonstrating how HCD has helped entrepreneurs to transform their enterprises? Bryn, if you're open to answering this question.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Through our work with Standard Chartered and with Unilever, I think that was sort of at a programmatic level where we were making changes and trying to increase access to digital financial services for entrepreneurs. So we were making changes at the product level that flow down and can better support entrepreneurs as they're trying to grow their businesses. But I think over the years, IDEO.org has worked through various mechanisms to support entrepreneurs to grow their businesses. So I'll give the example of a program that we ran 5 years ago with the UK Department for International Development. We ran a set of challenges that aimed to gather early stage ideas and then worked with them one-on-one to help to develop their products and run pilots to get to a proof of concept level that might unlock that next level of investment for them. And so the human-centered design value in that process was first meeting them at an early stage where they still had a lot of unknowns about maybe their business model, maybe how to do effective outreach to users, maybe how to overcome some barriers in their built environment that were preventing them from reaching a certain level of scale. And so we helped them develop plans for doing user research, for prototyping different aspects of their business, for answering some of those questions that remained unknown for them. And we gave them an experimentation period to kind of learn in that sandbox and understand their users better, make tweaks to their businesses before trying to launch at a pilot scale. So I think as entrepreneurs who are just starting out, like Diana, advice that I would sort of put to you is to really get to know what are those different mechanisms for accessing funding, whether they're VC or they're more incubating programs that give you that flexibility to experiment and learn in the upfront stages, and figure out what you need at the stage that your business is at to get to that next level. And I think a lot of those programs, a lot of those mechanisms have space for experimentation and learning, which is where human-centered design can really help push you forward. So I hope that answers your question. Human-centered design methods and mindsets can be used at every stage of an organization. But I think when you have a lot of unknowns about your customer base and your users, it's a great place to start to make sure that you're building something that has the potential for success in the long term.
Thanks, Bryn. And if we still have Fern on the line, I want to move to Fern now and ask a question which has come up. And maybe, Fern, I'm sure HCD was used for Nexus. So if you might want to also talk a little bit about how that was used. But the question I want to put forward to you is from Letty. The question is, how does one get access to the mentorship program? So whether this is related to Standard Chartered, these are linked to a lot of our Future Makers programs. And again, I know lots of links have been given by my colleagues, so you can go there. But generally, Fern, if you'd like to talk generally about access to mentorship programs. And the reason why Letty is asking this is that she works in financial services, but she's in the process of switching to entrepreneurship in the agribusiness field. So Fern, if you're up to it, I'd love some insights on HCD in addition to what Bryn shared, and then if you might like to answer the mentoring question.
Okay, so let's talk about the HCD piece first, right? So I am a big fan of IDEO. I strongly believe in design thinking. So Bryn, I'm your fan, right? So going back to how we actually developed Nexus, I think you're spot on. Every solution that we build must come from a problem that we want to solve, right? It goes down to what is that user need that we need to solve for. And why banking as a service, which is Standard Chartered Nexus, was really born, was because the problem was underdeveloped markets. There's a big group of underbanked or unbanked population, right? It's not because they don't have the money, it's because a lot of them live in the archipelagos. They don't have access to the brick and mortar banks, right? And if they don't have access to the brick and mortar banks, or if their salary is erratic, it's difficult for them to build a credit score. It's difficult for them to have access to financial services. And that's why we said that, they don't have bank accounts, but you know what everyone has? Everyone has a mobile phone. How can we use, right, alternative data, your telco data, your phone behavior data, and build an alternative credit score for you that will give you access to financial services. So that's how we started Nexus, right? Where what we did was we partnered with e-commerce players who have the clients, and what we do is we partner them, we provide the banking services, the license, and we power financial services through them. Why I wanted to share this is because I'll tell you a story instead, right? So in Indonesia, we have gone live. We've announced two partners. One is Bukalapak. It's an e-commerce player. We give financial services to online shoppers, right? The other one that is very specific to this group, because I imagine quite a lot of females are here, is we partnered with a Sephora-like partner in Indonesia. And we want to give the female shoppers access to financial services. One of the problems that we said was, why not let's build a robo advisory for the ladies, right? Let's help them to manage their money better and build their money. But when you run your market research, you realize that you can't even build robo advisory. You can't even teach them. You can't even get them to invest their money because the fundamentals are not there yet. Right? Ladies need to learn about opening a bank account first. Ladies need to learn how to what the financial jargons are. You give them a bit of financial literacy tips, right? Then you slowly introduce them to learning how to invest their money. So going back to design thinking is if we had just forced our way, right? Give them a robo advisor, give them a bank account, give them a credit card, the whole proposition would have failed because we did not hit the problem. The problem here is get them acquainted to having a bank account first. Teach them to manage their money first, and then we can get them to invest their money. Okay, so this is the design thinking story. Now going down to the mentors, right? I can't speak for everyone, but at least for me, or at least in Singapore, um, we have a lot of female mentorship associations. When you Google, you can find them, right? My tip is mentors are hit and miss. You know, it's like finding a boyfriend. Not every boyfriend, and you're not going to have chemistry with all of your boyfriends. Yeah. So to me, gaining access to mentorship or a female community is one, but you need to spend time to find that right mentor for you, right? Mentors who walk the talk, mentors who know exactly what challenges you face, that is the right mentor you keep. Yeah, so it's a bit of a dating for mentors. You need to meet a few of them, have coffee with them. You know, when you have that right chemistry, then you make sure that you build that relationship. I'm very big on habits. Force a calendar invite into their calendar. If it's not in their calendar, it's not going to get done. Okay.
Thanks, Fern. Thank you so much. Great tips. I think it's all about initiative, right? Just be passionate. And I think, one of our panelists said, just think big. I think it was, think big. I think that was Cedar. And I think just go for it. We have a couple more questions that have come in, so I'm gonna ask those. And anyone can respond. A question's coming in from Moses, and the question is, how can SMEs access? So a little bit similar to what I asked Fyodor, but they're just slightly different. So how can SMEs access technical assistance so that through this assistance, they can transform their companies and help solve UN developmental goals? So it's a little bit about technical assistance rather than monetary assistance. Happy for any one of the panelists to attempt to answer this. So it's more around how SMEs can get some form of support to transform their companies so that they're aligned to the UN developmental goals, the 17 goals that the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals.
So I can give it a try. I think around technology, especially as an entrepreneur, the first thing to look for is free stuff. Free doesn't mean it's not good, right? But the thing is, a lot of organizations that are actually availing platforms at no cost for you to learn, for you to leverage existing platforms and build solutions for this. So if I think about, for example, Africa, there's Google for Africa or Google Skills for Africa, where you can learn a lot of tech stuff for free. And I know Microsoft and other partners are doing so. So as Fan mentioned, it's up to you. Go online, look for solutions that are being offered that fit your need, and use those platforms to learn. And I think once you start, they usually say once you start, you start attracting other like-minded platforms that can improve what you currently have. So my view would be look online and search for those platforms that offer technical support for free. Leverage those, and as soon as you start engaging with them, you realize there's more to be offered as you proceed.
Great. Thank you, Fyodor. We're actually coming to just 10 minutes left of our time here. I hope that everybody has had a really enriching time with us. I know I have learned a lot, and I'm really inspired myself. I'm going to ask a question to all of the future makers, existing and future makers who have joined us on the webinar today. And I would love for all of your feedback to come through on the chat, because you have with you the community impact team. This is the team at Standard Chartered, which actually will make things happen around this area and are looking at enhancing our programs. So my question really is, what is your big ambition, future makers, and how can we help you get there? So a very simple question. Please feel free to type in. We have 10 minutes, so you can go ahead and type your responses, and we'll be able to garner your feedback so that we can see how we can address these. What is your big ambition, and how can we help? So very, very simple question if you'd like to go and address that. And as we come to a close, I want to thank our wonderful future makers who took their time, made some wonderful micro pitches videos for us so we could learn a bit more about you and your businesses. Our wonderful panelists for sharing all of your expertise, advice for us. And as we close, I want to do a virtual round robin or round table. And I want to ask you all for one thing that you can commit to. So it's kind of like a commitment and action that you will commit to post this event. So it could be a specific action, it could be something different that you might do, but just some form of commitment post this event. And of course, I will role model it so that I don't want to put everybody on the spot. So my commitment post this session is that I will try and make more of my time available to young future makers out there, and help provide them some form of mentorship in the areas that are my strength. So that is my commitment to you. And Victoria, I know you're watching, so you can keep this down and you can please share it with the rest of the team, open to any and all mentoring opportunities for areas of my strength. We'll move around. So maybe anyone who's ready, let's move to the panelists first, and then we will come back to our 5 future makers. Whoever would like to go next.
Yeah, I'll commit to forging partnerships with diverse organizations that help to better equip and enable young entrepreneurs as they start their journeys. So I'm excited to think creatively about how that happens. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Bryn. You've been fantastic. Move to another one of our panelists, please.
I'll go first. So I think I think the request on raising funds, right, and investments came up quite a bit. So I'm part of Nexus SC Ventures. So we do have a mandate, right, where we only fund startups that we commercialize with. But that's not going to stop me from introducing like-minded potential investors. So if there's anyone who's interested to be connected to friendly VCs, friendly angels, shoot them my way.
I think future makers, this is possibly the best kind of offer that you're going to get. So do grab Fern Lim. Her name is right up there. Do get her contact details. Thank you, Fern. That's wonderful. We have a couple more of our panelists, Fyodor and Sida. Any one of you would like to share your commitment?
Hi again. I would like to commit my time to looking for young future makers here in Ghana, in Accra, to perhaps help them become Pilates instructors like me, to help them on their financial journey in life. Yes, so that's what I'll look forward to doing.
That's great. Thanks, Sida. And I do know we have a Women in Tech program in Ghana. So I'm sure that, my team from Ghana is probably listening in. I'm sure they will be connecting with you to help further in this. Fyodor. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So I think mine is similar to what has Unilever. We've made a commitment to, which is making sustainability commonplace. So, all these challenges that young people are facing, the idea is how do we remove those barriers so that more people can access them freely and easily without struggling. And I think for those who've gone ahead, our role is to ensure that we make it simple for the rest. And, if there are any opportunities to mentor, feel free to reach out to me through LinkedIn, and I'll be able to support with what I can. So thank you.
That's great. And actually, Fyodor makes a great point. We connected on LinkedIn after we were first introduced because of this panel. So I really strongly suggest all of our future makers out there to find all of the panelists on LinkedIn, follow them. You learn so much just through following their pages. I'd love to now move to the future maker entrepreneurs. So Nazife, Diana, Saira, Alwina, and Elizabeth, if we can have your commitments, please, very quickly, so we can wrap up our session for the day. Nazife, if you're there, maybe you can go first, followed by Diana.
Yeah, I'm here. And actually, I can say my big ambition is to reach broad community and to reach maybe achieve international brands. And I can request firstly you to maternity and mentorship programs with international mentors maybe, and then maybe for after a while I can request to provide network with brands, and it can be my request. Thank you.
Thanks, Nazife. Wonderful. Diana, if you're still online, would you like to share?
Hi. My ambition is to launch script on end of July, so around 21st, and then from there I will probably go talk to the bigger people when I have more when I have like a lot to show through the pilot programs that we're going to run with different organizations in Ireland. So yeah, thank you.
Sounds great, Diana. If Saira is on the line, Saira, are you there? If you'd like to share. I know she was having some connection issues. If not, we'll move to Alwina.
Okay, like for commitment, I'm ready to give everything. Like I'm willing to learn now because I'm in this mode right now. So I'm willing to share. I'm ready for investing time and effort and energy. Yes.
Wonderful. This is great to learn that. Elizabeth, you for the close.
All right, thank you. My commitment is to learn more, from the mentors, and also to complete my attachments that I'm currently doing. And after that, possibly if I have the finance or the funds, can also implement on my idea my business idea, and consult more to the experts who are already in the field of ICT and computer services. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Elizabeth. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. On behalf of Standard Chartered and Business Fights Poverty, I think we've had a wonderful Future Makers session today. It's been really enlightening. I've learned so much, as I'm sure many of you have. Continue to reach out to us, the chat function in all of our sessions. And I know Katie will sort of pull in a lot of any kind of questions or requests into us as well. I just want to say, always when I interact with young people, our future makers, it is just so amazing to see the wonderful, the wonderful passion, interest, love for growth, ideas, and excitement, and just overall energy. This is something which is really, really remarkable. And at Standard Chartered, we want to make sure that it is your ideas, it is these creative issues that actually are brought to light, and see how we can actually help support you and help lift participation for young people and women-led enterprises across our markets. I think that's it from me. Thank you very, very much. It was my absolute pleasure and honor to host another session this year. Over to you, Katie. Thank you.